Hey, welcome back. Welcome back.
What's up, man? How you doing?
Things good. Things good with me. Hey, foundational results.
All day.
Just coming back with a little truth.
It's your boy Reg, man. Always coming with a 100, man. No cut, no chase. 100% raw to the cook. Any questions, comments, whatever you want me to talk about, send them my way, man. We put them out there. This is what we do. We are here for you. Nobody else.
Absolutely. You know, and guys, in the channel, the purpose of this channel is to inform, to update, to create a lifestyle, because lifestyle is about everyday choices. We understand that. Please go ahead and subscribe. And we want the channel to grow. Obviously, we want to make sure that we're bringing in great ideas, great guests, and then great topics. And we're going to try to work on that. And we're going to obviously get better each and every week with you. But a topic that we like to talk about today is something near and dear to me because it applies to me first, is a historical black college versus going to an everyday Power 5 school. I don't want to say a white university. I just want to call it the Power 5 schools because in those conferences, they make most of the money.
Yeah, they got TV.
They got the bigger TV deals, right? Mm-hmm. So we want to talk about the HBCU student, also the student athlete choosing HBCUs, or why they choose to go to a Power 5 school and what the difference between those two is and why are they going that direction and are they really benefiting from it academically and from a sports perspective when you think about it from a totality standpoint. I got a good friend of mine. He's going to come in and he's going to give his perspective and he's going to come in and sit down and he's going to chop it up with us a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Bro, you can go ahead and come on in and everybody's going to have a discussion. We're going to have a discussion. And so, what's going on?
What's going on? Y'all good?
What's up, bud?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
What's good? For
Go
sure.
ahead, introduce yourself.
I'm gonna introduce myself. I'm Shadrick. I went to I think y'all already said the school that y'all went to. I went to Charleston Southern out of Charleston, South Carolina. It's not quite a HBCU. I know when you hear Southern, that's what you're thinking, but it's not. It's actually a Christian school, so it's a little different. So I got a different perspective on what these guys might be talking about. So it should make for an interesting conversation.
And where did you go to school?
I went to the best HBCU there is, baby. PVAMU. You know?
And I'm also an alumni from PVAMU, which is Prairie View A&M out here in the Houston area. Before that, I did go to a bigger school at University of North Texas, so I kind of have a split understanding of that. But we're going to bring all of these things together. And I guess since I was the last one to introduce the school, I'll go ahead and start out. This is my deal. Man, I love black universities, but I didn't always love them. And I'm going to tell you what I mean by that. My grandfather was the head track coach at Prairie View for years. Me and this guy used to run around, be around the campus. Beautiful campus. You can walk on there, everything like that. A lot of people around the area go there. But my problem was, is I thought at black universities that as I got older in high school, that they partied more and they weren't focused on academics. And so therefore you weren't getting the same quality of education.
Right.
The same type of classes, the same type of students. Are they helping you more with their work? Are you really working independently?
Are you learning?
Are you learning? This all ran through my head, and my grandfather was a kinesiology professor for health and human performance, a track coach in the Hall of Fame, NCAA and NAIA, and that was my thought process. So when I decided to go to university, I started out and I actually took the SAT to go to 5 schools. And Prairie View was in there. But then there was other bigger schools in there that are considered to be white. And North Texas was one of them, and I ended up going there. And it was a good school. I learned a lot there. But when I transferred from UNT and decided to come out here and go to Prairie View, what I learned was that the same thing they're teaching me there, I'm learning the same thing here. Right. So what I realized in that whole scenario is it's not the university you go to, it's the individual you are when you go to the university. So what I mean by that is your character, your integrity, your choices, your values, they travel wherever you go.
Right, right.
So you can party anywhere.
Right.
I partied in North Texas. I did a little partying out here. Ultimately, I ended up finishing up at Prairie View. I'm grateful for it. I learned a lot about myself, got to be around a lot of guys and learn about it. One of the best business departments out there, you know what I'm saying? And what I'll say is that I feel a lot more, and I don't even really know the word, I feel more strength by going to Prairie View and putting in the type of student that I wanted to be and the type of grades I wanted to. I feel better about taking that ability to a historical black college and graduating from there and then seeing that perspective. And my argument is this. If you go to a historical black college for accounting and you go to a Power 5 school like University of Texas for accounting, most people will consider, because of rankings and etc., that the University of Texas Business School is going to be better because it has more resources.
Right.
But what you have to learn, people, is that when you go in and you look at the departments and everything, take a look at all the financing and the different things that are behind that, because that's what really ranks these schools.
Right.
It's not just the quality of teaching. But what you'll learn is when you get into the workforce and you start working, these guys learn the same thing that you did.
Right. Right.
So if you're a solid student, you adapt.
Right.
Because there's no situation where a 4.0 student from an HBCU or from University of Texas is going to be a great person in the workforce.
Sure.
You're going to have to learn how to apply those methods as you get and move around.
Most definitely.
So for me, HBCU, the argument of is one better than the other because of endowment. Obviously, schools like Texas A&M, these schools have huge endowments. Nothing against Texas A&M. We're a subsidiary of them. We're an A&M school, which is an agricultural and mechanical school. We believe in technical departments, all of that. But what I learned is that the historical black college needs solid students in there to come in from, being in Houston, all these districts around here. If we can figure out how do you get to Texas Southern, how do you get to Prairie View A&M, how do you get to some of these schools, I think it will be valid and huge, because what they'll learn is that the very thing that you're trying to avoid can be the very thing that makes you.
Yeah.
And so
I like what you said, that the very thing you're trying to avoid is the thing that'll make it. Because in my experience with my HBCU was not necessarily the educational standpoint, because I felt like I was always going to get a good education. The standpoint that I learned about was learning how to deal with people.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because you got to learn how to deal with people wherever you go.
Right.
And when you get into that workforce, it's not, he went to Texas, he went to A&M, he went to this. There's no, this is who he is. He's your boss.
Right.
Certain things you say to him will be held against you.
Right. Most definitely.
So, if you don't understand how to deal with people, because at Prairie View, it's a different dynamic. It's the type of dynamic to where you're going with kids that's first generation college students.
Right.
So they're not always gonna have the same opportunities or the same funding as you did from your parents' standpoint or whatever. Now they might have more funding from the Pell Grant, and that's what you need to learn about that.
Yeah.
Anybody who graduates from Texas, hey, you definitely need to find out what a Pell Grant is. Stay on the recommended plan when you graduate from high school, Pell Grant, no problem. Not even worried about anything, it's just worried about you. But anyways, so, when you did go to an HBU, you get the life skills, because you gotta learn how to deal with people, you gotta learn how to deal with your professors. Ain't no hand holding over there. One thing that I did like about the HBU versus that Power 5 conference, because I remember I did go to a couple of classes at UNT, and I was a social security guard. That's how they kept you. They kept you up your last four in your social, and that's it. You can be in a classroom full of 100. This is way before COVID, right? So you're in a class full of 100, all they do is just go down the line and look and see, okay, this person did this person did this person did this.
Yeah.
Now, when you go to a HBCU, your class size is small. Not only do you have a social attached to your name, but you also have a face. Hey, I know this kid. This kid comes to my class. This kid can come to my office.
Personal, right?
You get that personal one-on-one interaction, and you have that ability.
Yeah.
You don't have that ability when you go to those Power 5s. You either know it or you don't.
Right.
Or you gonna try to find you a study group and all that other stuff. But then that's when you gotta deal with other things, as in scheduling conflict, making sure everything's gonna line up. Different things.
Grass ain't always
yeah,
right.
it's grass ain't always green.
Oh, okay.
So just because they say it's bigger,
Yeah.
don't necessarily mean it's better. That's my feeling.
So you guys touched on two things that I found to be interesting. One, you talked about the being at an HBCU, how it's more personal.
Yeah.
But you also touched on something. I'm a little different from these guys. I went into the military when I was 17 years old. I didn't actually make it to college until I was 25. I had a thing where I said, hey, I didn't want to go to college until I was 30. By the time I finished, I ended up graduating by the time I was 30.
Right.
But I have a different view. You guys, I know Reginald, he went fresh out of high school.
Right.
You went fresh out of high school?
I went fresh out of high school, like what you said, for one semester, and then went to go work for a company called Peterbilt, building trucks on the assembly line with engineering, manufacturing plant.
Okay.
And so I kind of got I trade. I went trade, then university.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
So for me, by the time I made it to college, lifestyle was different for me. I had a full-time job, I had a family
Right.
that I had to take care of.
Yeah.
So for
Yeah.
me, when I got to college, it was business. You know what I'm saying? There ain't no partying.
Right.
There's not no going out to hang out with the bros.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's, hey, we're here to work. We're here to get our education, so I can take what I'm gaining from this school here, so that I can apply it in the workforce. Now, from my knowledge, though, like I said, I like what you said. At a bigger school, you are just a number.
Right,
That's
right.
all you are.
Right.
They gonna call your name off. They don't care if you show up or don't.
Yeah.
You paid already.
Right.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
If you don't come to class, they
Yeah.
don't care.
Yeah.
But at the smaller schools, they are. That's like going to school with your aunts, your mothers, your uncles, stuff like that. They gonna make sure
Right.
that you're in class. And
Yeah.
if you're not in class,
Yeah.
they gonna write back to who's paying for the school.
Right,
You know what I'm
right.
saying?
Yeah, they hold you
gonna-
accountable.
Right, they're gonna hold you accountable. And for me, I feel that's valuable in today's world. Everybody must have someone who's going to hold them accountable.
Yeah.
And I think touching back on what we're getting at with the schools and the athletes, yeah, your talent is only going to take you so far in life. Like yeah, you might be going there to go play football, but how many players actually make it to the league? And then
Right.
once they make it, how many of them actually are successful
Right.
after they
Sustainability.
retire?
Right. I was talking
So
about, right.
being there at those schools, they're going to teach them, hey, there's life after sports. There's life after being an athlete,
Right.
which
Yeah.
is why I'm so grateful that Dion did decide
Yeah.
to go back
Man, that was huge.
go back to a school.
Right. Jackson State.
Yeah.
He has the ability now to show them, hey, he's had the spotlight.
Right.
He's had all of those things.
Right.
But look at where he's back.
Right.
Later
Right.
in life, he's still teaching kids from the academy that he had.
Right.
And now they're on the college level. So
Correct.
for me, going to those schools, they're very important. I would say take your time out to research before you just up and jump to one of the bigger schools. Yes, when you're applying for a position at whatever job you're applying for, they're going to look at the application. They're going to look and say, hey, look, I got a 2.0 from the University of Texas, and I got a 4.0 from the University or PV.
Right.
9 times out of 10, if I'm the employer, I'm going to take the 4.0 from PV over the 2.0 from Texas.
Right.
Because this kid has shown, yeah, you might have got the degree, but you ain't willing to put the work in.
Right.
You BS'd around. This kid went to a smaller school,
Right.
but hey, look, they took the time, studied their craft, and they made it through.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's definitely a conversation to have, something to think about, and don't just overlook those schools, because those schools are gonna they're gonna help you to become more well-rounded. They're not just gonna push you out there and give you all of that freedom
Right.
Yeah.
up front.
Right,
Which
right.
a lot of kids, I know you're thinking, oh, I'm at my mom's house, I just want to be free. Yeah, you might want to be free,
That's
but
any school.
right,
Yeah.
right, but
Right.
but
You had that
you
opportunity.
still need that guidance to get you to that next level.
So if you had to do it all over again, I like your story, because where we're similar, me and Shattered, where we're similar is that I went for a semester, went to work, came back. I also finished college ultimately when I was 31.
Gotcha.
So it was all business.
Gotcha.
And so when I came in, I remember 4 out of the 6 semesters, you know, I was on the dean's list because I was focused in.
Right.
And there were students that were a little younger than me, that were 2 or 3 years younger than me at the time, maybe even 4 or 5, that would say, you know, why are you going to the library like that? Why are you putting that time for the test? Because what I was telling them was, it's not about the grade. It's not about looking at just the classification of the school. What are you retaining?
Right.
So when I studied, I was thinking about the job in hand that I would be doing in the future, wherever it would be at. So if I was in Tokyo in the field, and I needed to go in there and look at plate tectonics, or I needed to go in there and look at some sort of a quadratic formula, whatever it may be, I had an idea
Of where to go,
of how to approach it.
Foundation.
I had a foundation, right? Foundation results. You know what I'm saying? So that helped me out, like he said. When you develop that plan, I think, whatever school you go to, you have to have a concept of what are you trying to gain from what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because there is a skill set that you're trying to complete, right?
True.
You're trying to gain a skill set. Like I said, I went trade, he went military. Military is considered a trade because there's a skill set we gain from it. It's non-traditional.
Right.
But at the same time, it made us more of a definitive student, whereas him, he went right out of high school and went straight in.
Yeah,
And
traditional route, yeah.
right, he went the traditional route. So my biggest thing is HBCUs are phenomenal schools. Power 5 schools are university is, you know, as far as Power 5, phenomenal schools. Where I separate is why are we thinking that we all have to go here to get there? When in reality, if I put in work, as you said, at this HBCU, I got my 4.0 versus at Texas where I chose to party and have my 2.0. Did I really gain value from my education? Because one thing you'll learn is in college, why would you cheat in college? You're either paying for it or somebody else is paying for it through scholarship. But either way, when you receive that paper trail, that documentation, that degree, you can use it.
Yep.
You can access it. It's a record.
And you're responsible for having the knowledge that it says that you attain.
So I think it's real big that we respect the HBCU. We respect the people that actually create these institutions. When we were, as blacks, not allowed to go to the bigger white universities until they saw our athletic ability, and they let us in. And then they figured out that we were able to academically handle the workload.
Right.
True.
Right.
So this was a slow process, and that's not no knock on anybody who wants to go to University of Kentucky who's a parade All-American. But what I'm saying is, the historical black colleges are the lowest paid, TV paid conference in all of sports. That's funny to me, and then the biggest argument is all the Power 5 schools don't pay their what? Their players. But yet they bring in so much what?
Money.
Revenue or money for the
Yeah.
school. So to me, that's an oxymoron.
It's a disparity.
There's a disparity. We're saying as a black person, y'all are doing us wrong, but yet we continue going to those schools and not offsetting or creating a contrast where, let me go to other schools that I can produce.
Right.
Let me go in there and create a revenue for them to where everybody can start having those fair grounds. And I guarantee you, the conversations that are fair will be had once we realize that as the student, you have the control. The students make the university, not vice versa, in my opinion.
It's true. That's a good point.
Right. But it boils down to it boils down to each individual.
Yeah.
Each individual. It don't matter if you got a degree from, how now they saying, Phoenix,
Right. Yeah.
University or whatever. It's about you going to school,
Right.
you applying what it is that you learn out inside of the real world.
Yeah.
I tell everyone, I got a degree, and there's days I wish I could go back and redo it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For what you said earlier, although I was an older student, I didn't appreciate being in school.
Okay.
It wasn't until I got a little older and I started saying, you know what, I did pay for school.
Yeah.
Like for me, my education was free. I went through the military. But at the end of the day, hey, it was free, but it wasn't free.
Right, right. You still had to go to class.
No, it was free, but it wasn't free.
Yeah,
I had
sacrifice.
to put that work in the military. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So it wasn't free.
Yeah. Well said.
But by the time I got there, like I said, the focus just wasn't there. So that's why nowadays when I do see young people, I tell them, hey, look, man, go to class, learn, ask questions.
Yeah.
There's no question
Right.
that you're gonna ask that's wrong. It might not come out the way you want it to.
Right.
It doesn't mean it's a wrong question
Right.
or a wrong question.
Right.
So ask the questions.
Yeah.
Make sure that you can
Build that knowledge.
visualize what it is that you want to do
Yeah.
in life. And I'm going to end mine on this. You touched on it a little bit earlier with having a plan.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Most kids nowadays, they wake up in the morning, they have no plan whatsoever.
We're just impulsive.
Right. They
Whatever
just go.
comes to mind.
So
That's society.
I say one thing I did learn in the military, and I didn't actually catch it until a couple years ago, but we woke up and we had a POD, a POW, what is it? POW, POM, and a POI.
Okay.
So I live this way now today, but when I was 17, man, they kept pushing it. I'm like, wow, y'all making us do this stupid stuff every day. But the POD was a plan of the day.
Plan of the day.
So they started us off. This is what you need to do today. If you do not have this done today, we cannot move on for tomorrow.
Right.
But as I got older, I realized, hey, look, if we hit our POD, we gonna hit our POW, which is the plan of the week. And if we keep hitting our plan of the week, we gonna hit our POM, which is the plan of the month. And if we hit our plan of the month consistently, guess what? We gonna hit our plan of the year. Now, it's some people that's way smarter than us out there who came up with this. But it took me almost 12, 13 years after I learned it to actually apply it.
They
told
when
it to
you
me
were done with the military. The routine, the whole concept.
So,
man, I love it.
I want y'all to even look at it this way. You didn't go to kindergarten and just graduate to college, right? What you had to do, you had to go to pre-K, then you had to go to kindergarten, you had to go to first grade. They walked you through the process. That was your POD. Going to pre-K, kindergarten, first grade, etc., all the way on through. So start that way. Don't just run out there, but you gotta crawl. That's why they say you crawl before you walk.
You have to.
So take your time. Make sure that, hey, look, you get your plan of what it is you want to do. And have something that's going to inspire you to get to that next level. So it don't matter if you're going to a power school or HBCU. It starts with yourself.
It starts with yourself.
So you gotta want it for you.
Man, I love it.
So that I'm gonna end it on that note.
Man, that's me. That's beautiful. What you think, Red?
I mean, I think you done said it all. We good.
Well, listen, and one thing I want you guys to realize is this channel is all about understanding. We don't have all the answers. We're telling you our experiences. We're three hard-working people who ended up going to school, but understood that even before the degree was in place, we had to work and earn it. He brought up the military. He said I had to earn it. It's just like they didn't give it to me. When I was at Peterbilt working on the assembly line, I had to earn it, and I had to come back. When he went to school before to graduate and to get out, you have to earn it. So have a plan. Plan to proceed. And I call it the 3 P's. Plan, you know what, I'm gonna stop there. We just want to continue to make sure that we all keep a focus. Make sure that you, when you're thinking about things, college or whatever it may be, talk to people who are well informed on the school. Think about really what you want to do so that you're not wasting your time, your money, and your resources. Because I could give you a lot of cliches and a lot of fancy words and statements. At the end of the day, make sure you understand what you're getting into and then how that's going to pursue you moving forward. And I think that's a foundational result. Please subscribe, link into the channel. This was, again, Shadrick, where can they reach you anywhere? Or
I don't got no social media. I'm old school, man.
No social media right here. Red said.
Hey, meet me on the channel, baby. Foundational Results. I told you. Holla at me. I holla back.
All right, and then you can follow Foundational Results on all social platforms. All right. Once again, it's been a great one. You guys be easy. Happy Easter.
That's good.